Hello, ArchieLuxury, ArchieLuxury on the Paul Pluta channel, and today we're doing paid reviews. Remember, like, subscribe, and tell your fuckhead friends about my channel. Today I'm doing a paid review, and this here is quite an interesting review. And don't forget, look in the description for 10 ways you can keep me full-time on YouTube. And this guy goes, "Hey Arch, it's Jay. I just sent you $20 via PayPal on a review on the Patek Philippe World Time 5110 versus the 5130. Which is the best investment? Which will hold its value longer? What is a fair price to pay for each? Which do you prefer? I love your channel. Your videos convinced me to bite the bullet and buy my first serious piece. I bought a Rolex yellow gold 118238 day date with white dial and Roman numerals. Beautiful watch, but I admit I love the world time." And this is from Jay. "Also, is your world time still for sale? Thanks, fucker." Jay. Okay, Jay. Well, I'm always open to offers. I'm just how it is, unfortunately. But let's have a talk about this. What is the review on the Patek 5110 and the Patek 5130? And I've got to tell you, in all honesty, I love both these models. These are super duper, super cool models. And I got to tell you, in all honesty, the 5110 and the 5130. So let's just quickly have a discussion. What are they? So firstly, I want to say I'm getting this information from the Patek magazine. When you own a Patek, they send you a magazine for rich people. Wow, it's people who've owned a Patek. And basically this issue here had a great story on the World Times. And basically the World Time itself there, the last model was probably 1954. They came out 1937 to 1954. They had some variations, and then it dropped it for a while. The 5110, that's the one that I've got. I had the white gold and the yellow gold. They came out in year 2000. It's the modern era of World Times. Was ushered in with the 37mm 5110. And it used a 240 HU self-winding movement. Now that model there, so 37mm, and it was then replaced in 2006. It was replaced by the 5130, which they increased the size to 39.5. They also same movement. That's the 240 movement. They increased the size of it. They used that same similar case where it had the clicker to change zones at the 10 o'clock position. They retained that, and it had the crown guards on this piece, which is something they used in the 5107 as well. Then they replaced this model. They replaced this model in 2016 with the 5230. So we've got 5110 came out 2000, 37mm. You've got the 5130, which came out 2006, 39.5mm. And then in 2016, they replaced the 5130 with a 5230, which came back in size. It was 38.5. Now they also, as well as the size reduction, it no longer had the crown guards on the piece, and they changed the lugs. So they are 3 incarnations of modern World Time. And look, they're all beautiful. Those versions there are also using the the 240 movement, which is the micro rotor movement. And okay, what's the best one? Well, look, in all honesty, so this review here, I've been asked to compare the 5110, compare it to the 5130. So what is the difference between the two? Well, the 5110 is 37 mil. The 5130 is 39.5 mil. So there's a size difference. The other difference is that the hands, the hour hand on the 5130 has that circle, that little circle, little exposed circle to signify it's the hour hand. So the hands are different on the 5130. They then change the hands again, incidentally, on the 5230. The other difference is the guilloche dial on the 5110 and the 5130. They're both a guilloche dial, however they're different. Some people, being completely unbiased, which is hard because I own a 5110. Some people have said that they prefer the bigger size of the 5130. Yes, bigger is, wristwatches were getting a lot bigger. However, they dislike the hands on the 5130, where it's got that circle on the hour hand. And they also dislike, well, they don't dislike it, but they say the guilloche on the 5110 looked better. So, pros and cons between the two. People like the bigger size, they dislike the guilloche, and they dislike the hands. They think it was, well, I shouldn't say dislike, they prefer it on the 5110. And the 5110 they like, but they thought, ooh, a little bit bigger would be better. So it's a very interesting thing. Which do you prefer? Well, it's really personal taste. So the question is now, the question that he's asking is, okay, so firstly, a review between the two. They're two highly regarded world times. Patek Philippe is probably the first and foremost name in world time pieces. There are some amazing world times there, but Patek is synonymous for the world time. The 5110 in modern times was considered, it was an instant classic when it came out. The 5130 was considered an improvement, bigger size, and it's sort of debatable whether you like one or the other. Now, the reality is, let's talk reality. Let's talk money there. So, the two watches are amazing. They're both fantastic. In hindsight, you could say the 5230, they've now made it a bit smaller, so you could say neither of them was perfect. They've also changed the hands, which are sort of back to the 5110 on the 5230, so you could say they're all flawed. Beautiful but flawed. So the question is, what is the best investment? So that is a really good question. Now we're only talking about 5110 and the 5130. So what is the best investment? Now the interesting thing is, to buy a world time in modern, I'm just going to move my camera stand so we can get some pricing. We can do some price checks. We're going to use my favorite pricing source, which is Chrono24. Chrono24. So let's have a look at this here, because I think this is a really cool discussion to have indeed. So and I'm interested in it because I've got one. So let's take a sticky beak and see what are they going for. What's the best investment? Okay, now the interesting thing is the 5130 and the 5110, they came in yellow gold, white gold, rose gold, and platinum. Now let's go and have a look at Chrono24. Now the honest answer is they are both fantastic. I mean, these are using, there's not to put the 324, that's the other automatic movement with the big rotor down, but the 240 is considered a superior movement. Now let's have a look. What are 5110s going for? So when we look at Chrono 24, it gives us retail second-hand prices. So we have a look here, and we can see that these pieces here, these pieces are going for, let's have a look where they're starting at. They are starting at these pieces. Now we've got some Russian sellers. I'm always dodgy on Russian sellers because some of these Russian sellers, they don't ship internationally. You've got to fly to Russia, and I don't exactly want to go to that shithole ever again. I've been to Russia, been to Ukraine. Fuck, that was awful. Particularly with a lot of US dollars. Asking for trouble indeed. So let's have a look here. What are we looking at? Where do these start? Well, okay, there's one in Hong Kong. They've got a yellow gold. It's 22,068. So it's a currency. So 22 grand. 22,000 US dollars. There's some ever so slightly, no, that just, there's one at 19.9 in Taiwan, but I think they're really starting to kick in. Let's have a look here. The one in Taiwan here. Let's have a look. I don't think it has box or papers there. Okay. So let's go and have a look here. So we're really looking at 22,000 US dollars for a pre-owned 5110. Now you can get those in a choice of metals. You can get it in yellow gold, pink gold, white gold, as well as platinum. Platinum, of course, is the most expensive. The cheapest being yellow gold. But is there a bad choice in a world time? Tell me that. So $22,000 is sort of the starting point for a world time there. So $22,000. What's that? Can you buy a decent car for that? I don't know. Can you get I think you can. You can get a very, very decent car indeed with that. That's 18,000 pounds, 22.5 US. Okay, there we go. It's a London dealer. Okay, so $22,000 mark. Okay, beautiful, wonderful to see that there. Now let's have a look. How much are we looking at for a 5130? So 5130. We'll just search by price, cheapest first, and they're starting at around, the cheapest is 25, but they really kick in about 27, 28. Okay, so let's say 28,000 there. That's where they kick off there. $28,000, and they go up pretty steeply there. They go up pretty steeply indeed, which is fine. No problems with that there. So $28,000 gets us a 5130. Now, so you're looking at 22 to 28, 6,000 US dollars difference. So is it worth paying the more? Well, it depends. Which one? I don't think that sort of buyer is really, I mean, 6,000 is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but I kind of suspect that sort of buyer, it's more which dial they prefer, which hands and which size they prefer. So I would really say that I don't think it's a buyer. He's going to decide between the two based on price. I think it's more what do they really like there. They might be a pro. I mean, I kind of the money I paid for mine was kind of the top of my range. I can assure you of that much. So the 5130 as well as would also be newer because they came out after 06. whereas the 5110 ended in 2006. So, okay, so we've had a bit of a look there, and just out of interest, let's just check a Patek. Let's just check a Patek 5230. That's the new model. Now that's only been out, and they are starting from, there's one at 40,000 US dollars, but they kind of kick in. Now the funny thing is with the 5230, they only have them in white gold or rose gold. There's no more yellow gold one, and they kick in 35,000 US dollars. So you're probably looking at an extra 10 on top of a 5130. What did we say? 28, 9,000 more. So you know they are not a cheap watch. That's for sure. They're certainly not cheap there. So here's one in Germany, 38,000. Well, you know that's so 10,000 again. So which one would you go for? Indeed, which one do you prefer? That's a good question. Which one is the better investment? Well, I kind of think let's look at this, answering this question here. What is the better investment? I think realistically we're looking at bang per buck, return on capital. I would say the 5110 or a 5130. I think both of them would be very good buys. I would say if I had to pick one as an investment, so we're looking at this purely as a financial point of view, I think you'd probably get a better return buying a 5110 than a 5130, because you're putting more into the 5130, and Patek's already brought the size back, so it's a bit too big. The 5110, it's probably a little bit too small. But the 5110 was the first modern world time that Patek released in modern times. So I think investment potential, probably the 5110, and use the other bit of money to buy another watch would probably give you the best return. Which will hold its value longer? I reckon the 5110, because that's the cheapest, would probably be holding its value, because there's nowhere to drop. Its only place to go is up now. So I don't think you could go wrong with either, but I think the 5110 would be a bit of a bargain. It's very, very affordable, 22,000 US dollars. What's a fair price to pay for each? Well, Chrono 24 is second-hand retail, so we're looking at the lowest priced ones, but I am not going for the absolute lowest price, because as I said, some of these were Russian sellers who you've got to fly to fucking Moscow, and you don't want to, believe you me, you don't want to do that. So the 5110, they are starting at around about 22,000 US dollars. The 5130, you're looking at around about 28,000, and the 5230, 38,000. So that's kind of the money. I think that's the money there. Which do I prefer? Look, I got to be honest with you and say I love all of them. Out of those three, I mean, which do I prefer? I would probably say out of all of them, I mean, which do I prefer? I mean, this is ignoring financial concerns. Just, that is a very tricky question. They've all got pluses and minuses. Geez, which one do I prefer? The 5110 or the 5130? I'd probably say the 5110. Not because, well, I'll tell you why. One, because it's cheaper. Secondly, because it's the first model, first modern world time. It's also got that beautiful Guilloche dial, which the 5130, it still has a Guilloche dial, but I don't think it's as cool. And I prefer the hands on the 5110. So I would say myself, I think my own choice, 5110. But if someone said, hey, which one do you want? Hey, Archie, we love you. You're such a superstar. I'll give you one. Here's 3 of them. I'd take the fucking 5230. It's the most valuable. And they're all cool. They are all cool there. So, which one? I think if you had to put money into one, which would be the best investment? Have to be the 5110. I think that'd be the coolest. And if I had to put, if we're looking at a long term, I'd probably go 5110 platinum. I reckon that is the sweet spot. I reckon a platinum 5110. Super, super cool. I'm ArchieLuxury. This has been a paid review for Jay. Tell me what you fuckers think of that.
We specialize here in pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex watch is a very special timepiece, and we always do the servicing exactly as factory specifications. We buy a pre-owned piece and we put it into brand new condition. We have Rolex certified technicians working on that. We completely disassemble the piece. We adjust and polish and change every single part of the watch.
You have to have certified watchmakers that know what they're doing. If you have an expensive car, you're just not going to bring it to any mechanic that doesn't know what they're doing.
You spend $5,000, it's like if you put money in the safe deposit box. And 1 or 2 years from now, you will keep having your $5,000. We have to spend a lot of money to get all this equipment together, but makes me feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not a question of money, it's my passion.
Jewelers on time, simply the best.